Hey guys, J77 doing another movie review, and this one's a little late, but like I said, I'm working on a very strict budget, so seeing movies, I have to be very selective and picky in terms of certain movies, and this was one of the movies that I actually select due to the fact that I actually wanted to see something that was more family friendly. So I saw Journey to Mysterious Island. Um, this is going to be a split review, guys, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to give a review for the younger crowd, I'm going to give a review for the older crowd. I'm going to give you my overall rating because I feel that this film pretty much speaks more to the younger viewers. It involved The Rock, Vanessa Hudgens, Michael Caine, and it involves a story where this troubled teen pretty much is getting in trouble with the law, has discovered this map out of 3 books, and these books pretty much led them to the mysterious island, which later on was told to be the island of Atlantis. There, they seek the help of Vanessa Hudgens' dad, along with her, to travel to this mysterious island, and from there they meet up with Michael Caine. Michael Caine, pretty much from the start, don't particularly care for The Rock too much, and pretty much we have this, I don't like you, I don't think you're right for this person, and he's putting him down at every chance he get. But you should expect that when a family film like this, so that doesn't surprise me. What is surprises me about this film is how much gadgets he was able to put out in such short period of time using the simplest stuff in unconvincing fashion. I'll get to that in a minute. Pretty much as they get there, they quickly realize they're already in danger because the island is about to go back into the sea. Why every movie now begins with them going to island only to have it crumpled in front of them, I don't know. But apparently now there's like a race against time to get out of the island before it sinks. And that's as much I'm going to be saying about this movie overall. And the reason why I don't want to spoil too much for this film, I'm going to just basically say this. I'm going to say this right now. The Rock's record with family films is pretty much fair. I won't say terrible because I actually liked the game plan. I thought the game plan was a very fun film. It pretty much was more for the father-daughter type audience, but I still enjoy it for what it was worth. It was family fun safe. A lot of critics pretty much knocked it for being typical, but it was entertaining and I enjoyed it. I only saw bits and pieces of the Race to Witch Mountain. I can't really give it a fair rating, but for what I saw, it was interesting. It looked like it had a lot of good action to it. Um, but to say it's bad or good, I can't really say. But for what I saw, it's not bad. As for the Tooth Fairy, yeah, as a family film, was bad. But if you ask me, was it The Rock's worst performance? I still have to say Doom was his worst performance. I think that The Tooth Fairy, yeah, it was a stupid film, but I think youngsters pretty much would probably like it more than anybody else. I'm saying about 3, 4, and 5. I think they will actually enjoy it more than anybody else. I think that's the big problem. But was it a bad film? Yeah, it was a bad film. I will say this is in the middle. This is in the middle because to me, this wasn't a terrible film. I think in all, it really catered more towards the younger crowd. I think the younger crowd would enjoy this a lot more than, say, the adults. And I tell you why. When I saw this with a friend of mine's, and he was nitpicking the hell out of this film. Every little inconsistency, every little plot points and plot holes he can find. He found it. I mean, and I even seen it, but and it was to the point where he just wasn't enjoying the film. He was just asking so many questions. He was picking the film apart. I too noticed the stuff he picked the film apart, but at the same time, I kept it in mind. This is not really a film that should be taken seriously. And you know what? The actors wasn't taking it seriously, and I actually applauded them for that. They actually had fun making this film. You can tell, and they were very loose. They were, just very into it. The Rock, pretty much did a pretty damn good performance in this film. I actually was a bit surprised at how enjoyable this character was. He wasn't all macho, with the exception of probably that ridiculous scene with him with his breasts. He's moving around his breast while they're throwing grapes at him. you know that was special effects. You know that was 3D effects. Wish I would get to the 3D in a bit, but overall, this the actors really did a good job. They gelled surprisingly well in this film. I was very, very surprised, and I was very, very impressed in how good a chemistry they were. Were there some stupid pun lines? Yeah, there was. Were there, a toilet humor that was thrown in there? Don't know why they felt the need for a children's film to put toilet humor in there. Yes, but it wasn't to the point where I was ignored by what I was seeing. I wasn't ignored at all by this, and I think that was the big thing. And that's a good point about it. Another good point I would address in this film is the fact that the effects, although it wasn't great, but it was good. I liked it the way they played around with the effects, where what was supposed to be big, behemoth, creatures were actually the smallest creatures, and what were the biggest, smallest creatures, like the bee flying scene, which was awesome, were big, and was huge, and I actually enjoyed it. It was actually something different. I actually enjoy how they represent the island. It was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed that. But most importantly, I think the pacing was very impressively fast. It didn't stay in one spot too long, and it was necessary to do that because, as I said, the adults, they're going to pick up on a lot of mistakes. They're going to pick up a lot of consistency. It's going to pick up a lot of plot points, plot holes in this movie. But for a kid's point of view, if you go fast enough, they're not going to question it. They're just there to have a good time, and that's the thing. Bad points, unfortunately, like I said, I think parents will not enjoy this as much because of the fact of, there's a lot of scenes in here that even I myself was asking questions. One of the scenes that I really didn't like, but that was because they never really explained that. And when it came up that they didn't have the resource to do it, I started asking a lot of questions. One was how the hell Michael Caine build all this stuff in such a short period of time. Two, the ancient submarine. The first ever submarine that was supposed to be the one of a kind, looked more glamorous than I ever imagined. In the scene, they were underwater. They was trying to get in the submarine. They finally got in the submarine, and it was submerged in water. They actually drained the water out. Now, to drain the water out, you would think it has the power is still active. But no, the power was not active. The power was not there, and they needed to use one of the electric gills to power it up. If that was the case, and this is just me, that water should still be there. And there's another scene which was like in the very end when the island was starting to fall apart. Is a scene that even I can't even defend. I can actually say, well, maybe this had enough power, and then they actually just drained the last power by draining the water. But in this one scene, let's just say when this thing was falling and they was underwater, the submarine came at them a little too fast, and they never explained how they got in the sub after that. I mean, I'm talking about Vanessa Hudson and Michael Caine and Vanessa Hudson's pops, which I can't get his name. Sorry about that, guy, but I'd rather not, get your name wrong because I've been hit a lot for that. But in that scene, as they're going underwater, the submarine is going to them, and this thing is going fast, and it just cut into them now entering the sub, and I think that was like, yeah, that's not going to fly well with a lot of people. And it's like, if people were to look for that, which I was, it did ask a lot of questions about that one scene, but it moved enough where I don't think the kids notice. I don't think the kids care, and if they are, it's probably the older ones that can catch that very, very quickly. The ending is definitely the sequel bait. They definitely is setting up for a third one. I don't know if it's going to be a third one. I know it's doing well in the box office, so it could be possible that they actually will be working on a third one. It would be interesting to see as a kids film. Hey, it would be interesting if they're making the Wimpy Kid 3, which they are. I wouldn't mind seeing this one in the theaters, especially if they're getting better at it. So, but there's this one scene that did bother me. I'm not going to say too much about it, but let's just say it is the one scene I can say that if they had something that is ancient, that they was not told to exist, and they have it exist, they won't be able to keep it. That's all I got to say about that. But in terms of that, yeah, there's definitely a sequel base, which it can and cannot work, but I could have think it could have done better with that whole scene. Really, really better, especially for an actor like Michael Caine. I really wasn't feeling that one part. Um, that is basically just the plot holes. I mean, the plot holes really showed a lot in this film, especially how they found the island. In the beginning, they had three books, and these books was made by different authors from three different time periods, and they was running the assumption that these authors have went to the island and wrote different maps of the island, and once they put them together, it all formed one big island. Which I don't know if that's gonna fly with a lot of parents. I don't know if even the kids gonna be asking a lot of questions how that's possible. But I guess they needed some kind of something to move the plot along, so that was the best they got. Other than that, look, it's a kids film. I recognize it as is. Does it work as a family film? Yeah, it does. I think it works better as a family film, as a kids film. Just parents just gotta bear with it. I think that this is one of the films that you just gotta have to, understand that nothing's gonna really make sense in this film. But as long as it entertain your kid, it's fine. I think it's not terrible. It's not the worst. I've seen worser family films than this film. This is not a terrible family film. If I gotta say, like I said, it's in the middle to me with terms of Rock's family films. And this is actually better than any of the Doom films he made, or even the Tooth Fairy. So I actually say this is actually a decent kids film that they can actually sit down and enjoy and watch. Will parents enjoy it? Well, it all depends. If you're a nitpicker, you're not going to enjoy it because you will be looking for a lot of inconsistencies, and there are a lot to pick on in this film. There's no denying it. But as far as everything else concerned, despite that, it's still a fun film to watch. It's still entertaining. The 3D, which I'm now getting to, was not that bad. Was it necessary? No, not really. It definitely wasn't necessary, but it wasn't cheapened. It was actually pretty good when it needed to be good, and I give it a plus for that. So, I could easily trash on the 3D. I can't trash on the 3D because the 3D was actually impressive, which says a lot considering the 3D films that's coming out and has basically been trash throughout the last few years. So, points for that. They actually did a pretty good job with the 3D. Now for my rating. Like I said, I'm going to give this film a different type of rating. For a kids film, it's good. 3 stars. I will say that. As an adult film, it's fair. I don't think too many parents are going to like this film. I don't think too many adults are going to go and see this film unless they're forced by their children. But it's fair. It's still some good qualities you can like about it. So it's a 2-star film. Overall, it's a not bad, could have been better film, 2.5 stars film. But make no mistake about it. If you want to take your kids to see something that's good and entertaining, it's definitely worth checking out. I would say it. It's just keep in mind, try not to nitpick on the film. It's not as bad as many people actually are saying it is. As a matter of fact, many critics ain't really bashing the film. Many people who saw the film even says, it's not bad. Your kids will love it. You just basically just gonna have to live with it. And I agree. It's just one of those films that you're just gonna have to sit through. But until that is, it's definitely worth a shot if you guys take into consideration. That's it for now. That's my review of Journey to Mysterious Island. If you've seen it, please let me know. If you liked the film, didn't like it, what was your best scene of the film? What was your least favorite scene of the film? And until then, this is J77 saying take care.